So for you now, shifting, so a lot of folks have discovered jazz for the first time during the pandemic, which has kind of been one of our great silver linings for us because
Yeah.
for the first time ever, people are just discovering you or Miles Davis or Dave Brubeck for the very, very first time. So for newbies, what advice would you give them?
Newbie listeners,
Newbie listeners, yeah.
I think the thing about jazz, sometimes there's an air of, oh, am I allowed to listen to this? Or, sometimes even within the jazz community, it's like, this is acceptable and this is cool and this is not cool for jazz. There's certain types of subgenres of jazz that people that consider themselves jazz snobs would say, oh, you shouldn't listen to this because that's whatever. It's not pure. I think to the newbie listener, just find what you connect with, find what you enjoy, and don't be afraid to listen to it and explore that. Don't be afraid to listen to stuff a little bit outside of that. So if you're really connecting to early Miles Davis recordings, great. If you're really connecting to late John Coltrane recordings, then that's great. If you're connecting to something that's more on the smooth side of George Benson or something, that's totally fine. That's great. I think for any listener, don't worry about what anybody else thinks about what you're listening to. What do you enjoy? What brings some sense of peace or happiness, whatever you're looking for? What brings that out of you? What brings a sense of excitement? Is it, listening to John Batiste live at the Village Vanguard? Is it listening to a Roy Hargrove live in Paris YouTube video? Or is it, listening to Kind of Blue or, Time Out, like Brubeck you're talking about, some of these classic jazz albums? That's okay. No matter which thing you're connecting to, they're all great. And jazz can span such a wide range, and that word covers such a wide spectrum of, somebody who listens to the groove-based John Scofield Uber Jam album or whatever might not love that, but they absolutely love Duke Ellington big band music.
Right.
Those still both fall under the category of jazz, and they both deserve their place in jazz history. So my suggestion to any listener is, it's very simple. Just find what you enjoy listening to and keep diving deeper into that. And there's also so much more like that out there. If you like Diana Krall and Nora Jones and other vocal jazz that's maybe a little more chill, great. There's more of that that's out there. If you like Ornette Coleman and Cecil Taylor, that's great. There's more like that out there. And I think it's really fun and amazing that people are discovering jazz now. And the beautiful thing about it is that there is so much jazz that has existed for so many years. There's just kind of endless exploration on back catalog alone, not to mention all the fun, exciting things that are happening today.
Speaking with Cory Wong. So for you, Cory, let's go back to John Batiste for a moment. Talk about that experience and putting that project together, because it sounds like you guys had a incredibly good time putting that together. But for you,
so John and I became really good friends after meeting on a gig where we both were. He was the guest host for Live From Here, and I was playing in the house band for it. And we were featuring one of my songs as well. John and I hit it off musically and personally, and we just started playing together. I invited him to feature on one of my albums. He played on a couple tunes for that, and then we said, "Man, this is awesome. Let's do a collaborative album together." And he's the band leader, the musical director for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I was playing a lot on that show in the band with him, and before the shows and after the shows, we'd hang out in his green room and just kind of write and improvise music together. And all of a sudden, there'd be certain times where we both reach for our phone. Quick, get your voice memos open. Let's not lose this moment. And then we'd keep going and playing. We did this a handful of times, and then we started a Dropbox folder together, sending music back and forth. And we just said, you know what? Let's do an album where it feels like guitar and piano duets with a percussive element to keep the rhythmic momentum and a Hammond B3 organ to give an air to the sound. just kind of a cloud that kind
Right.
of hugs the sonic palette of what's happening. And we went in and we recorded this album that's 6 tunes. The album's called Meditations. It's 6 tunes that we put together, and they're jumping points. They're these melodic ideas and these little phrases of, okay, these are the essence of the tune. And then they're just jumping points from there. We can improvise. We just go wherever we hear and wherever we want. And then there's landing points throughout. And there's just little jumping points, landing points, little checkpoints through the tune, and then outros, that sort of thing. And it really created a fun environment in the session where it's not free jazz, and it doesn't sound like free jazz, but the concept, there's many moments in there that feel like there's very much freeing moments, and it's in the confines of the vision of the album being kind of piano guitar duets with the other 2 players weaving in and interjecting. So it really created a unique recording experience because we literally recorded the album straight down, top to bottom.
Really?
Yeah. So we did it. So like I said, we were doing tapings for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which get taped in the afternoon.
Yep.
Afterwards, we got in an Uber and went down to the studio, and we hung out with Samuel and Nate Smith. Those were the other 2 musicians on the album.
Yeah.
We hung out and talked for about an hour. We got on our instruments, and the album is about 35 minutes. We recorded the album straight down, no stopping. And then the next day we did the same thing. And the next day we did the same thing. We did it 3 days in a row. And each day we just recorded it once. We literally hung out in the studio for 2 hours each day. And what ended up being used was, I think 4 of the songs were from take 1, the first night. And then 2 of the songs were from the third night.
Okay.
And it was just a magical, special moment where we just, they were different each time. And we just picked the one that I mean, any of them could have worked, but we just used the ones that felt the most pure and best represented the vision for the album.
That makes sense, because I was listening to the notes of Stockhausen and Miles and Sly all weaving through all of that. So,
Yeah.
Early Weather Report too. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of, so I was listening to this is the vibe I'm getting, but for you guys creating that vibe, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Speaking to Cory Wong here on Jazz 90.1. So Cory, with the Vulfpeck experience, I mean, it's drawn a whole new generation of folks into the world of jazz.
Yeah.
For you guys, what's it like to create that? Because I mean, there's friends getting together, hanging out interchangeably, creating amazing sounds and creating this amazing vibe. But for you guys to do it, what's it like from your side of the stage?
For us, it's just some friends hanging out playing music. It's kind of a simple answer, but
Oh yeah,
it's also absolutely incredible. It would be a shame to not say we are absolutely grateful, completely in awe of how it's grown, completely in awe of the power of the internet.
Yeah.
And, the band originally started, Jack had a vision for the band of just kind of being a YouTube act, putting out little albums here and there. And then eventually it really grew, and then all of a sudden blew up into something huge. And we're all absolutely awestruck at the fact that happened, and so grateful that we each get to express who we are as individuals, and that when we come together as individuals, it makes something that's way more special than what each of us could bring on our own. And that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, it is.
And I think, it's a testament to Jack's vision and understanding of the power of, for him, I guess, assembling his version of the Avengers or whatever, and yeah, it's really fun. It's just an absolute blast.
Yeah, speaking to Cory Wong at the Cory Wong Pizza Shop.
Yeah, I got to make Wong's Pizza a real thing, don't I?
Good, man. We're having a little Zoom slice right now. So talk about that, adding the comedic element to the act in terms of what you do, because no one's really done that in our world since Rasan Roland Kirk, using comedy, giving people to laugh and enjoy the moment. So what inspired you to do that?
I did a gig for 7 years in downtown St. Paul, a Tuesday night jazz gig. And I didn't really address the audience. I didn't really perform per se.
Right.
We just got up there and played the music. Like a lot of our local heroes were doing. They'd just get up and they'd play the songs and the music. They didn't need to talk in between, and they didn't need to do any of that. Other than the band called Happy Apple, whose drummer is Dave King, also
Right.
of the Bad Plus. And Dave is a very charismatic, funny person. He's got a very specific sense of humor also. And he engaged the audience in a different way that really inspired me. Oh, this actually makes for a more unique experience. Sometimes he's making fun of the audience, and sometimes it can be kind of alienating. But he does it on purpose. It's like it's his own shtick, and it's great. I love Dave; he's incredible. But seeing that, the way that he was engaging an audience, and then seeing people like, just regular, not regular, but a typical show that's not a jazz show. There was so much entertainment and engaging of the audience that I just wasn't seeing in my local scene. And I realized after this 7-year gig of playing every Tuesday night, I'm not really using my personality in any way and who I am as a person outside of just trying to be Pat Metheny on the guitar, like I had mentioned earlier. And I realized, hey, I should actually interject more of who I am into this music. And that began this journey of trying to find who I am, find what my own voice is as an artist, as a musician, as a performer. And then all of a sudden, that's really when things started to pick up. And, you know, I think it's a testament both to just entertaining and engaging what the audience might want, using your strengths, finding what it is that's magnetic about you as a person. And for me, some of that is just my way of playing rhythm guitar and approaching rhythm as lead, and my own personality and my own sense of humor. Those are the things that are more magnetic about me than, oh, just get up and play some jazz lines.
Yeah.
And for other people, it is more compelling just to get up there and play the way that they play. So, yeah, it was a tough, long road to figure it out, but I think it's something that I'm continually learning from.